I'm Scott the Winemaking Guy, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 13 of Help My Winemaking, the video podcast that helps people like you improve your winemaking savvy so you can make great tasting homemade wine you can be proud of. On today's show, I'm going to talk about two things. One is a salute to my Resolution Keeper members. As well, I'd like to talk to you about the fallout when I let my airlocks on all my batches of wine go dry. So we'll get to that in a sec, but first, a salute to our Resolution Keepers. So what is a Resolution Keeper? Well, the Resolution Keeper is basically a group of people from around the world that I assembled who are all into homemade wine, and they had a goal that they set at New Year's Eve, and they really wanted some accountability and some people to help them get that goal done. So for example, my goal was I had this Old Vine Zinfandel kit on my countertop here down in my winemaking kitchen, and I just didn't have time to get it done. I'm a small business owner, so if you're a small business owner, you know what that's all about. You're always busy. Plus the ski season got in there, and I was gone every other weekend. Blah blah blah. Lots of excuses. Finally, as you can see behind me, here's the wine kit. I finally put my foot down. Had my friends tell me, get it going, get it working, and I'm proud to say it's working out, and house has been smelling yeasty, and I love it. Now, apart from this, with this group, we had people who were able to ask questions. If you needed to poke them to get it done, we were able to do that, and it was a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the stories and all the things that these guys were able to do and introduce you to them on my blog, thewinemakingguy.com. So in the coming weeks, please do, I invite you to visit, and you'll get to meet them. Now also, for those who are able to, initially it was a contest, but now I just said, hey, if you were able to set a goal and meet it, I'm going to give you a free copy of my new book, which is The Passionate About Homemade Wine. It's a practical no-nonsense guide to making wine, and so they get a free copy of that, as well the free copy of my first winemaking newsletter and access to my winemaking membership site. Now, if you'd like to find out how you can get a free copy of my new book, feel free to go to thewinemakingguy.com. But anyways, my hats off go to Rick, my ironworker friend from the States. I also have Damien, who's a crazy guy that he wanted to make peanut butter wine. He's from Atlanta. I had a great time getting to know him. Diane, who's my friend from the Okanagan, she actually entered some great wine in competition, and she did well there. Marshall, who I've known for a while now, and he's makes all sorts of fruit wine, and he's on his way to Maine, where he has a retirement cottage, I believe. And Paulette, who's another friend from Alberta. So a great opportunity to meet people from around the world that share interests, and I look forward to doing it again. And all I can say is hats off to you guys again. And if you have a goal that you have problems getting, whether it be winemaking related or even anything else in life, all I would really like to say is find a coach or find somebody who can give you some accountability and poke you whenever you don't get it done. So there you go. Resolution Keepers, hats off to you guys. Had a great time with you. So the fallout of leaving your airlocks run dry, what the heck does that mean? And how could I avoid it? Well, basically, simple. I let my airlocks run dry. And I let my airlocks run dry in all the wine batches that I had in my crawl space. Harder to do when you have your batches of wine on your countertop in an area that you frequent a lot of times. So what was the big thing that I was worried about? Well, it's oxidation. And the best way to describe oxidation is if you consider this apple, if you cut it, you're going to notice that the flesh goes brown, and that's because oxygen is interacting with it and it rusts. So it looks bad and it influences the taste, and you don't want that obviously to happen to your wine. So if that happens to you, make sure at least that your airlocks run dry. You want to make sure that your level of wine, if you're aging your wine, is high in the neck. And all the kits have that, and you know this, and this is why, because you want to reduce the amount of airspace in your wine, so that if oxygen does get into it, it doesn't cover a lot of your wine. Now, of course, it'll take a while for your oxidation to happen, so it could be that the top part of your wine is what's impacted, but not further down. So that means that the top part of your wine is bad, could be that the rest of your wine is good. So think about it before you pitch your wine to thoroughly test the different levels as to where it is good and bad. Alright, so what we did was my wife Michelle and I tested all of our batches, and we had 9 carboys of wine, so obviously I was concerned about it, some of which had been aging for 2 years, and happy to say only 2 of the 9 were bad. And then that I suppose could happen in any case, and that was the blueberry wine and the Pinot Noir. The rest were perfectly fine, and we kind of just did a taste test of all the different batches, which was kind of fun into itself. And we decided to pitch those 2 batches based on smell as well as taste. So there you go. Probably the best thing to do though is to make sure you keep your airlocks nice and full at least halfway, so this doesn't happen to you in the first place. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for stopping by and watching, and I hope you learned something new. At the very least, I'm sure you now know never to let your airlocks run dry when you're aging your wine, because you could rust it, which means your color will be dull as well as the taste. Never a good thing. Also, congratulations to all the resolution keepers. You guys were great, and I'm glad you were able to be successful, and I look forward to doing this again sometime. If you'd like more winemaking tips, I invite you to go to my winemaking blog. Of course, it's thewinemakingguide.com. Poke around, lots of great information both from me and other winemakers from around the world. If you have a question about an article or a past episode, please feel free to send them my way, as well as suggestions for future episodes. And if you make a suggestion, I'll be sure to give credit where credit is due. And of course, while you're there, be sure to find out how you can get a free copy of my latest book, Passionate About Homemade Wine. Now be sure to come back next time, where we'll talk about a sneaky way about trying your wine throughout the aging process. That'll be great. Until next time, to your winemaking success, bye for now.